I spend a lot of time watching dashcam footage online. There's something fascinating about these little cameras that capture real life as it happens. Most of the time it's just boring traffic and the occasional fender bender. But sometimes these cameras catch something that defies explanation, something that makes you question what you're actually seeing. Tonight I'm going to share 5 dashcam encounters that still haunt me. These aren't dramatizations or reenactments. These are real events captured by real people who had no idea what they were about to witness. Let's begin. Encounter 1, the Midnight Walker. On March 14, 2019, a delivery driver named Brandon Wells was making his final run of the night on Interstate 40 in rural Tennessee. It was around 2:30 a.m. and the highway was completely deserted. Brandon had been driving this route for 7 years and knew every curve, every exit, every mile marker by heart. But what he saw that night was something completely new. As his dashcam shows, he was traveling at about 65 miles per hour when his headlights caught something in the distance. At first, he thought it was a deer crossing the highway. That's common in that area. But as he got closer, he realized it wasn't an animal at all. It was a man. Walking down the center lane of the interstate, in complete darkness, wearing what appeared to be a hospital gown. Brandon slowed down and switched lanes to avoid him. As he passed, he got a better look. The man was barefoot, his hospital gown was dirty and torn, and he was walking with purpose, like he was heading somewhere specific. But there was nothing for miles in either direction. Brandon immediately called 911 and reported what he'd seen. The dispatcher told him to stay on the line and asked him to keep the man in sight if possible. So Brandon pulled over about a quarter mile ahead, turned his truck around, and drove back slowly with his hazard lights on. But when he returned to the spot where he'd seen the man, there was nothing. No one on the road, no one on the shoulder. Just empty highway stretching in both directions. The dispatcher sent a state trooper to the area. They searched for over an hour. They checked the woods on both sides of the highway. They looked for footprints, torn fabric, anything that would prove someone had been there. They found nothing. Brandon checked nearby hospitals the next day. None of them had reported a missing patient. No one matching that description had been admitted or discharged in the past week. It's like the man simply appeared on that highway for a few seconds and then vanished. Brandon still drives that route. He told me in an email that he thinks about that night every single time he passes that spot, and he always slows down, just in case. Encounter 2, the bridge. This next one comes from Russia, where dashcams are extremely common due to insurance fraud. On August 3, 2020, a woman named Natasha Volkov was driving home from work in the city of Volgograd. She had to cross a long bridge that spanned the Volga River. It was late afternoon, still plenty of daylight. Traffic was moderate. Everything seemed normal. Then, about halfway across the bridge, Natasha noticed something odd. Cars ahead of her were swerving slightly, like they were avoiding something in the road. She slowed down to see what it was. What she found was a bicycle, just sitting in the middle of the lane, upright, like someone had carefully placed it there. But there was no one around it. No rider, no one on the sidewalk, no one pulled over on the shoulder. Natasha stopped her car and put on her hazard lights. She got out to move the bicycle to the side of the road. That's when she noticed something that made her blood run cold. The bicycle was still warm, like someone had been riding it seconds ago. She looked over the edge of the bridge railing. The Volga River was about 80 feet below. The water was dark and moving fast. She didn't see anyone in the water. But the thought crossed her mind immediately. Had someone jumped? Natasha called the police. They arrived within minutes and immediately began searching the area. They reviewed traffic camera footage from both ends of the bridge, They interviewed other drivers who had passed through around that time. Here's what they found. The bicycle appeared on the bridge at approximately 4:47 p.m. Traffic cameras showed it wasn't there at 4:46 p.m. Multiple drivers reported seeing it and swerving to avoid it. But no one, not a single person, saw who put it there. More disturbing, the police checked missing persons reports for the area. Nothing matched. They checked hospitals for anyone pulled from the river that day. Nothing. The bicycle itself provided no answers. It was a standard model, a few years old, with no identifying marks or registration. The police kept it for 2 weeks, hoping someone would claim it. No one ever did. Natasha told reporters that she still thinks about that bicycle, about how warm it felt, about how it got there, and about what might have happened to the person who was riding it just moments before she arrived. Encounter 3, the follower. On November 9th, 2021, a rideshare driver named Rachel Martinez was working the late shift in Phoenix, Arizona. Around 11:30 p.m., she picked up a passenger from a downtown bar and started driving them to a residential neighborhood about 15 minutes away. About 5 minutes into the trip, Rachel noticed a car following them. A silver sedan, staying about 2 car lengths behind. At first, she didn't think much of it. Same direction, same roads. Coincidence. But then she made a turn. The silver sedan turned too. Another turn. The sedan followed. Rachel's passenger was on their phone, not paying attention. Rachel didn't want to alarm them, but she was starting to feel uncomfortable. She decided to test it. She took a random turn down a side street that led nowhere near their destination. The silver sedan turned too. Now Rachel was certain. This wasn't a coincidence. Someone was deliberately following them. She could see in her dashcam that the sedan had its high beams on, making it impossible to see the driver or the license plate clearly. Rachel made a decision. She drove past the passenger's actual destination and headed toward the nearest police station. She told her passenger what was happening. They immediately called 911. The dispatcher told Rachel to keep driving toward the station and to stay on main roads with good lighting. Rachel agreed. But as she drove, something even stranger happened. The silver sedan started getting closer and closer until it was right behind them, almost touching Rachel's bumper. Then it would drop back, then get close again, like it was playing with them. Rachel's passenger was recording everything on their phone now. The video shows the sedan pulling up alongside them at a red light. Rachel looked over, trying to see the driver. The driver was wearing a mask, a white, featureless mask that covered their entire face. They turned their heads slowly toward Rachel's car, just staring, not moving, just staring through that blank mask. The light turned green. Rachel accelerated hard. The sedan did the same, staying right beside them, matching their speed. This continued for another 2 minutes until Rachel saw the police station ahead. As soon as the sedan's driver saw the station, they suddenly braked hard, made a U-turn, and disappeared down a side street. Rachel pulled into the police station parking lot. Officers came out to take their statements. They reviewed the dashcam footage and the passenger's phone video. They put out an alert for a silver sedan with the partial plate number Rachel had managed to catch. The car was never found. What makes this encounter even more disturbing is what Rachel discovered the next day. 2 other rideshare drivers in Phoenix reported similar incidents that same week. A silver sedan following them, getting close, then dropping back. And when they got a look at the driver, they described the same thing. A person wearing a white, featureless mask. The police investigated but found no connection between the 3 incidents. Different areas of the city, different times of night, different passengers. The only common thread was the silver sedan and that mask. Rachel quit doing rideshare after that. She told me she couldn't shake the feeling that whoever was driving that car was looking for something specific, testing, hunting, and she got lucky that night. Encounter 4, the empty car. This encounter is from Japan, where dashcams are also very common. On February 21, 2022, a truck driver named Kenji Nakamura was driving through a mountain pass in the Nagano prefecture. It was early morning, around 5 a.m., still dark outside. The road was narrow and winding, with steep cliffs on one side and a rock face on the other. Kenji had driven this route hundreds of times. He knew it was dangerous, especially in winter, but it was the fastest way to his delivery destination. As he came around a sharp curve, his headlights illuminated something that made him hit the brakes. A car was parked sideways across both lanes, completely blocking the road. The driver's door was wide open. The headlights were still on. The engine was still running, but there was no one inside. Kenji stopped his truck and got out. He called out, thinking maybe the driver had car trouble, and walked to find help. No response. He walked closer to the car, looking inside with his flashlight. The keys were in the ignition. A phone was sitting in the cup holder. A purse was on the passenger seat. Everything looked normal, like someone had just stepped out for a second and would be right back, except there was nowhere to go. Kenji looked around. On one side was a sheer cliff, dropping hundreds of feet into darkness. On the other side was solid rock. The nearest town was 10 miles behind him. There were no other cars, no footprints in the thin layer of snow on the road. The person driving that car had simply vanished. Kenji called the police. While he waited, he checked his dashcam footage. He wanted to see if maybe the driver had walked past his truck somehow and he'd missed them in the dark. What he saw on the footage confused him even more. The car hadn't been there 30 seconds earlier. Kenji's dashcam shows him driving around that curve. The road is empty, clear. Then his truck passes behind a large rock outcropping for maybe 3 seconds. When the road comes back into view, the car is already there. Parked, door open, engine running, 3 seconds. That's not enough time for someone to drive up, park, and walk away. It's barely enough time to open a door. The police arrived and searched the area. They found the car was registered to a woman named Akiko Sato, who lived about 50 miles away. They tried calling her. No answer. They sent officers to her apartment. She wasn't there. They checked the cliff edge, thinking maybe she'd fallen. They found nothing. No signs of a struggle, no blood, no torn clothing, no footprints leading anywhere. The phone in the cup holder had died, but when they charged it, they found the last call was made the previous evening at 8 p.m. Nothing since then. No messages, no app activity. 3 days later, Akiko Sato walked into a police station in a completely different prefecture, over 200 miles away. She was confused, disoriented, and had no memory of the past 3 days. She didn't remember driving to that mountain pass. She didn't remember parking her car. She didn't know how she ended up so far away. Medical tests showed no signs of drugs or alcohol, no injuries, no signs of assault. She was physically fine, but had a complete gap in her memory. Akiko never got those memories back. To this day, she has no idea what happened on that mountain road. The police closed the case as a medical episode, possibly a fugue state brought on by stress. But Kenji knows what he saw on that dashcam footage. That car appeared in 3 seconds, and whoever was driving it vanished just as quickly. Encounter 5, the intersection. This final encounter is the most recent. It happened on December 8, 2024, in Portland, Oregon. A man named Trevor Hayes was driving home from his night shift at a warehouse. It was about 3 a.m. He stopped at a red light at a completely empty intersection. No other cars, no pedestrians. Just him and the traffic lights cycling through their patterns in the middle of the night. While he waited, he glanced at his phone to check a text message. Maybe 5 seconds. When he looked back up, there was someone standing directly in front of his car. A woman, standing perfectly still, staring at him through the windshield. Trevor's dashcam captured everything. The woman appeared to be in her 30s, wearing a long, dark coat. Her hair was wet, plastered to her face like she'd been standing in the rain. Except it wasn't raining. She didn't move, didn't blink, just stood there, staring. Trevor honked his horn. The woman didn't react. He honked again. Still nothing. The light turned green. Trevor waited, hoping she would move. She didn't. Finally, Trevor opened his window and called out, asking if she needed help. That's when the woman did something that made Trevor's blood run cold. She smiled, a wide, unnatural smile that didn't reach her eyes. Then she started walking toward his driver's side door, slowly, deliberately, still smiling. Trevor didn't wait to find out what she wanted. He reversed his car, turned around, and took a different route home. As he drove away, he looked in his rearview mirror. The woman was standing in the middle of the intersection, still smiling, watching him leave. When Trevor got home, he immediately checked his dashcam footage. He watched it 3 times, trying to make sense of what he'd seen. Here's what bothered him most. In the 5 seconds he looked down at his phone, the woman appeared, but the dashcam shows the intersection was completely empty when he stopped. No one walking toward it, no one nearby. She was just suddenly there. Trevor reported the incident to the police the next morning. They checked the traffic cameras at that intersection. The cameras showed Trevor's car. They showed the light turning red, then green, but they didn't show the woman. According to the traffic camera footage, Trevor stopped at an empty intersection, sat there for about a minute, then suddenly reversed and drove away. No woman. No one standing in front of his car. Nothing. But Trevor's dashcam clearly shows her, standing there, walking toward him, smiling. The police had no explanation. 2 cameras filming the same intersection at the same time, showing 2 completely different things. Trevor tried to convince himself that maybe his dashcam malfunctioned. Maybe it was a glitch that created a human-shaped artifact in the footage. But he knows what he saw. He was there. He looked directly at her. He heard his own voice calling out to her. It wasn't a glitch. Trevor doesn't drive through that intersection anymore. He takes a route that adds 15 minutes to his commute. He says it's worth it. Because every time he thinks about that night, about that smile, about how she appeared out of nowhere, he gets the same feeling, the feeling that she's still there, waiting at that intersection, waiting for someone else to stop, waiting to smile at them. These 5 encounters represent some of the most disturbing dashcam footage I've come across. What makes them especially unsettling is that they're all real. These aren't stories. These aren't urban legends. These are documented events with video evidence. And yet, none of them have satisfactory explanations. The midnight walker who vanished from a deserted highway. The bicycle that appeared on a bridge with no rider. The masked driver following rideshare cars. The woman who disappeared from her car in 3 seconds. The smiling figure at an empty intersection. 5 different encounters, 5 different locations, but all of them share something in common. They remind us that the world is stranger than we think. That sometimes our cameras capture things that shouldn't be there, things that don't make sense, things that suggest reality has thin spots where the impossible can bleed through. Stay safe out there. And if you're ever driving late at night and something doesn't feel right, trust that instinct.